Welcome to the second session of the chapter Our Constitution. Do you remember the points that we discussed in the last class? We discussed the points like definition of the Constitution and or structure of our government. Our structure of the government means it consists of three important organs like legislature, executive and judiciary. We also discussed about enactment of the Constitution. Under the enactment, we discussed the formation of the Constitution on the proposal of Cabinet Mission Plan. We also discussed the number of the Constituent Assembly, how many were there? 389 members were there. And then we also discussed about first sitting of the Constituent Assembly, then presidency of the Constituent Assembly, who elected as a president, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Then we also discussed about what the boycott of the Muslim League of the Constituent Assembly. Now we continue discussing the topic, the composition of Constituent Assembly. Now what do you mean by Constituent Assembly? The Constituent Assembly, who are the members? Now Constituent Assembly is for now. Which are the members belonging to the Constituent Assembly? You know, children, people from all categories were included in the Constituent Assembly. Why? Because the Constituent Assembly is going to make a constitution for the whole nation. They are going to represent the whole country. So the people from every walk of life, members from every walk of life should be included to the Constituent Assembly. So that we say that we could include all the members from every category of the society of our country, like members of representatives of Hindus, Christians, Sikh, Parsi, Christian and Anglo-Indian, so like that all the category of people were included, representatives were included with the Constituent Assembly. Then Jawaharlal Nehru, he expressed his viewpoint in one of his speech which is held in the Constituent Assembly in the year 1946. He said that the Constituent Assembly, we are not only going to take the viewpoints of the people who are present here, but we are also going to keep the mindset of the people who are not present here, and we are going to discuss and solve the issues and problems till now not solved by any of the government of this people. So the Constituent Assembly is not, we are not only going to represent the entire, we are not only going to make a constitution for the entire country, but also for the future population. So the responsibility is on our shoulder to make a bright and beautiful what is a perfect constitution for the country. So Jawaharlal Nehru and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar were the key leaders of the Constituent Assembly. These two leaders, they played a major role in making the constitution of our country. So included the best points of the famous major documents of the world, including Bill of Rights and the constitution of so many other countries. They referred and studied and discussed, and debates were held for a long time, and then finally we made our constitution. That means framework of the constitution was taken place. Then it took about 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to make this lengthiest and world famous constitution in the world. So how many it adopted and passed on which date? So the constitution framework is over by 26th November 1949. But the constitution came into effect on 26th January 1950. Why? There is a reason behind. So means we started the framework of our constitution in the year 1946. Then it finished in the year 1949. That means it took 2 years, 11 months and 80 days. But it came into force, or commencement of the constitution came into exist on 26 January 1950. Children, there is a historical reason for this particular adoption of commencement of the constitution in this particular date, that is 26 January. The historical reason we will be discussing and at the end of this chapter. Next we discuss objective resolution, which is proposed by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So before the writing of our constitution, he said that means we are asked to make a constitution, set of rules, and it's not that simply we make a certain set of rules, but we should means have a clear-cut goal or objective of this constitution. That means we should go for certain main points which reflect the real character and nature of the constitution. So this should be included as the main points of the constitution. So suppose you go to the library, some books when you go through it, before starting to read, you go for a front page and back page so that you understand, you get an idea looking at it. That means going through those keywords which are given in front or at the back. What is that? You understand what is the real content of that particular book. So in the similar way, this objective resolution, the main points which are included with the constitution reflect the real, it acts as a mirror of the constitution, so that it shows that what does our constitution mean by. That is what here mean by objective resolution which are proposed by Jawaharlal Nehru. So accordingly, he said which are the main points to be included according to his proposal. He said that he proposed, so he made this proposal on December 13, 1946. So certain points, he has given 4 points. Let's see one by one. Free India will be nothing but a republic. So here, what do you mean by free India? Because till then we were under the Britishers. Now we got freedom from the British. Hereafter means we are going to form a government, a constitution. So that means we are going to be so we are already a sovereign nation. So that free India will be nothing but we have to decide what the free India should be, what type of government we should be, and what type of freedom we Indians are going to enjoy. That is that, what is it? Free India will be nothing but a republic. Here, what do you mean by republic? Because the republic here means that India will be ruled by an elected head. So India will be ruled by the elected representatives. So when hereafter Indians means they are going to rule themselves. The sovereign or the supreme power is going to vest in the hand of the people. So that what is this? So that is what republic. Republic means here the nation which is ruled by an elected head or elected representative. So that here the people become the supreme power of the country. So that you have got the freedom to speak and express your viewpoints, and so that live a life with all kinds of freedom and relaxation, so that you feel that you are living in a democratic nation. That is what meant by free India will be nothing but a republic. And next point is that social, political, economic democracy would be guaranteed. So what do you mean by social democracy, political democracy and economic democracy? Let us discuss. What is social democracy? You see, children, we learned about Vedic period and when we learned about ancient history, we understood that class system emerged in the society. From that time onwards, inequality came into existence in our society. People were not treated equally. There were a lot of corruptions took place in the society. Number of people, different sections of the people were exploited under this situation. So that such kind of social inequality should not be hereafter existing in our country. So we should bring about social democracy in our country, so that what is that, all are able to enjoy their life. So means nobody should have a particular title, no one is dominant over somebody else, whether you are a president or a prime minister or a common man or rich or poor, girl or boy, all should be treated equally in the society. That is what we have meant by social democracy. All are treated equally in the society. Next is that political democracy. So political democracy means you have the freedom to form your political party, you have the freedom to take part in the governance. That means anybody can contest the election in a country if you fulfill certain criteria. And at the same time you have the freedom to express your political views, problems of the issues of the countries, and you can even criticize the government. So all such kind of political freedom should be given to the citizen of the country. So that is what we are meant. So you have the freedom to form the association. So in order to come out of the problems what you are facing in the society, so you are able to get the attention of attention to your problem of the authority. So all these comes under the political democracy. And next comes economic democracy. That is what do you mean by economic democracy here? Here that means distribution of the wealth among equally among the people. That means the country's natural resources should be equally distributed equally among all the citizens. So see, demonetization took place in our country. That was brought about in order to bring about a kind of economic equality. Why? Because money was concentrated, black money was it was concentrated in the form into the hand of some people. So you have understood what all happened in those days. So we came to know the real nature of our economic inequality of the country. So, and even now at the time of COVID pandemic, the government is ensuring free supply of food for almost all the areas, like especially poor people. Till November it is being extended. So all these are bringing about into the society in order to bring about economic democracy. So that is what mean by, so government should, the constitution should make a rule that it means government should ensure social, political, economic democracy of the nation. That's what, so social, political, economic democracy would be guaranteed. And next is that grant fundamental rights to citizens. So what is that? It is included with the third part of the constitution. We will be discussing this point in detail in second chapter. So what is fundamental? As a citizen, everybody are given, they are given certain basic rights which are to be enjoyed. So we will be discussing it later. Next is the safeguard the rights of minorities and backward classes. There are minority classes. What do you mean by minority? They are less in number compared to other communities, so that their interests should be safeguarded in the society. And say socially backward classes, SC, ST classes, OBC classes, so they are all given certain provisions in the constitution in order to safeguard their rights. Now we discuss the different committees of the Constituent Assembly. There came into existence 8 major committees. There were a number of minor committees are also. But these 8 major committees were given some most important responsibility. Out of that, one of the very important committee was drafting committee headed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So drafting work of any document is very important procedure, isn't it? So he was a person with such kind of personality, and means he drafted the constitution in such a way that we all citizens are able to enjoy our freedom, and even now our constitution is remaining as an important, most important document not only in India but among the world documents. And so in between, one unfortunate thing happened, that is split of India in the year 1947. You all know that India got freedom in the year 1947 on the Act of Indian Independence Act. So birth of Pakistan took place. So now India also became a sovereign nation. It's a time that we need to bring our constitution into effect. But we were still under the process of making the constitution, and under the so drafting committee was formed during this period, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the head of the drafting committee, and he was the personality of an eminent jurist. He was also a social reformer, economist, politician, and with all these qualities, he became the chairman of drafting committee, and he is known as the architect of Indian Constitution. Now, this he has contributed a lot to the Indian Constitution, being an architect of Indian Constitution. It is he who decided that what kind of constitution we should have, like what is that certain features he had incorporated with the constitution which made our constitution so great. Which are those principles which are included with the constitution by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Let's see that. So which are the main principles incorporated by him? One of the most important principle what he included was that workable, flexible and strong. What do you mean by workable, flexible and strong? Workable, see, you made certain set of rules, but that has no relation with the people and their life, and that is not able to bring into practice those laws. No, it was not like that. He has made the law in such a way that it is workable, so that the constitution is able to help the people and solve the problem of the people at the time of peace and war. That means at any time, 24/7, 365 days. And flexible. Flexible means what? We have made a constitution doesn't mean that nobody can make any changes in the constitution. Why? Because as the time passes, we need to go according to with the changes of the society. We need to be up to date in order to bring about a betterment in our life. So our constitution is not so rigid, but our constitution is flexible. We can make changes. The changes which are made in the constitution is known as amendments. That amendments are possible in the constitution whenever the situation required. So that means the number of amendments are taking place in our constitution. Even now new laws are made in our country. You say who makes the law here? Who makes the amendments? The parliament. We discussed the organ, the first organ, legislature, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. They are that bodies, law-making bodies responsible for making the constitution flexible and also strong. How flexible? So understood means making any changes in the constitution, as we call that flexible. Amendments can be made. Now strong, it's not so easy that our constitution changes are to be made. It's that any time any government comes, they go on making alteration in the constitution. No, it cannot be done. So it is made very strong. How? Because in the parliament, you see, any resolution is to be passed to become law, they need 2/3 majority. It is not so easy to get 2/3 majority in Lok Sabha. So present government has got the 2/3 majority because they have got a majority in the election. But they are not a majority in the Rajya Sabha. So that suppose any resolution is passed in the Lok Sabha, but sometimes that may not be able to pass in the Rajya Sabha. So this is how. So it's not an easy process of making changes in the constitution. Amendment is so a complex procedure. So that our constitution is workable, flexible and strong. He made our constitution these features. And next is that safeguards minorities and classes socially and educationally backward. That means safeguard the rights of the minorities. You all know, we already discussed who all comes under the minority, people who are less in number. They are considered as minorities, like Anglo-Indians, Christians, Parsis, all these Sikh. They comes under the minorities. Their interests are also to be taken care in order to bring equality in our country. That means social and political and economic democracy in our country. Then classes socially and educationally backward, they are also to be taken care. So the minorities are able to set up some kind of institutions and all for protecting their educational rights. Even backward classes are given some provisions. The reservations are made in the job and everywhere reservations are made for SC, ST and backward classes in order to protect their rights. And next is that constitutional remedies. You said we can go for the constitutional remedies. The government cannot take arbitrary rule against the citizens. So that if your fundamental rights are violated, you can approach the court for getting your freedom done. At the same time, what is that? The citizen's freedom should not affect the functioning of the government. Suppose what is that at that time? For example, you see now, let's see this period, COVID-19 pandemic. So we are restricted to move from place to place. Some places the freedom of restriction is movement is restricted. Why? Because for the safeguard for the interest of the society and safety measures of the society, the government has brought about the rules. So under such situation, your fundamental right is being suspended. So that, what is that? But other than that, at any time, if your fundamental rights are suspended, or that means you are able to enjoy your freedom in this country. If you know at any situation your freedom is violated, you can approach the court. So you have the constitution. It's not that simply rules are made. It is very carefully taken care that these rules are protected. Fundamental rules are ensured to the citizen. That is why it's a workable. The constitution is workable. It can be ensured. So single citizenship and single judiciary. Single citizenship means what? In America and all citizens, there are double the citizenship. You know, they have got for the whole nation one citizen. Then for each state they have to go for another citizenship, double citizenship. But in India we have only one citizenship. We are treated anywhere. You can go in India. You can freely move anywhere and you can settle there. You can do your job there. So you are considered as the citizen of the whole country. That means India's part. So that is that is what we are meant by single citizen. That means this is brought by the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in order to unite the country, and India should not be divided in the name of state or language or religion, etc. So all are treated, all people who are all residing in the country are considered as the single citizen, so that we are united. We all come under one single government, that is union government. So here we made the union government very strong, bringing the single citizenship and single judiciary. So the single judiciary because for the whole nation only with the Supreme Court is considered as the apex court. Rest all the court comes under the Supreme Court. So all the courts, lower court, high court, all comes under the. So the final verdict is given by, final decision is taken by Supreme Court in our country, so that we made our country very strong and the unity is brought under this single citizenship and single judiciary. So they have, the next is directive principles. What is directive principles? The government should ensure the welfare of the citizen. Any rules are made by the government, they should always keep certain guiding values in their mind which are mentioned in the constitution. They should not go violating those guiding values. Keep on. These are not punishable, but these are only certain points, value points we need to keep, so that the programs and policies, anything the government is making is beneficial for the country and society, so that we are able to lead a better life, so that India can become a welfare nation. Now, what is the significance of 26 January? I said that we will be discussing it at the end. So why do we celebrate Republic Day on January 26? Because we learned that our constitution adopted and passed. Adopted and passed means yes, everything is fine now, all are agreed and signed. Now finally it passed and it is ready to be active on November 26, 1949. But we did not bring this, our constitution, into effect on this day. But commencement of the constitution took place on January 26, 1950. Why? What was the reason? There is a historical reason. That is, for that we have to go back to the year 1929. You see, it is the time that we were under the Britishers, and the struggle for independence took place in India in many places. Our leaders were, Congress leaders were fighting for the freedom against the Britishers. So they formed the Indian National Congress. This is not the present Congress meant by. So this Indian National Congress means that was the first institution which was formed by the Indian leaders to fight against the Britishers. So because at that time we never had any institution, nothing. So we Indians, prominent Indians, the leaders, they came together and they made a common platform for the leaders to work together to fight against the Britishers. So they formed Indian National Congress. So there, after the formation of Indian National Congress, every year the Congress sessions were held in different places. So in every session, so they brought about different agendas and demands to the Britishers. But Britishers were never agreed with the Indians and they were not ready to accept the demands of Indians, and we struggled like anything under the British rule. So in order to, so that we Indians wanted to declare ourselves free, we wanted freedom from the Britishers. So the meeting, the session which is held in the year 1929 in the place called Lahore. That session is held in the place called Lahore. So the session is called Lahore session. So in that session, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he was the president of that particular Lahore session. So Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he brought about Declaration of Purna Swaraj. What is Declaration of Purna Swaraj? That means Purna Swaraj means complete independence. So he declared that India as an independent country because we were tired of begging and demanding with the Britishers, and finally we thought of we should take some important decisions. But we declared as India as independent in the year 1929 under the Lahore session, but we were not actually independent at that time. But means as a challenge against the British, we started celebrating our Independence Day every year, January 26. So January 26, 1929, January 26, 1929, Declaration of Purna Swaraj was held. So for the memory of that particular day, every year we were celebrating what is Independence Day before the independence. So we celebrated it as a challenge against the Britishers. But when we got the actual freedom, when did we get actual freedom? 15th August, isn't it? 1947. So now we need to celebrate our Independence Day on 15th August because we got the actual freedom. So thereafter, next year onwards, we need to celebrate 15th August. So then what will happen to this January 26th? We didn't want to give up this particular day. So we wanted to give some importance to this particular day. So we thought of that we will, the commencement of the Constitution we will bring about on the day January 26. So we were waiting for it. November 26, the Constitution is ready. Now 2 months left for January 26. So we waited for that particular date to come for the commencement of the Constitution. So on that particular day, January 26, by the time it is 1950 next year. So January 26, 1915, our Constitution came into effect. So I hope that you understood the importance of the day January 26. So you all know the importance. We celebrate our Republic Day on January 26. Why? Because our Constitution came into effect.